Evening, you lot. Welcome back. I would say welcome back to episode 40, 30, but actually, I don't know what episode number it is. I probably should look into that, and I'll get back to you if if that's all right. Before we get into it, I'd say if you like what you see, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That'd be awesome. Because the master plan is at some point I want to buy an island with like a outside bog and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the absolute master plan. Got a few bits to go through tonight. The Leeds game's coming up. I've got some questions and answers to do as well. I've had some questions sent through, some absolute belters, so we'll probably end up with that one. But swiftly moving on to the Leeds game. I'm not going to go into all the tactics and stuff like that. Other people do that way better, as I've said before. So I'm just going to have a quick look at a few things. Firstly, the lineup. I was a little bit taken aback. It wasn't really what I was expecting. I thought we might have gone a little bit stronger. But then, having said that, we all knew that Leeds had a lot of players out. I wasn't expecting Benjamin White to be playing. I wasn't expecting ESR to be playing. But they were, and we'll go into various individual performances in a little bit. But yeah, the lineup. I mean, I can sit here and say I disagree with it, but it really doesn't matter a jot what I think. I don't work with these players every day of the week. Mikel Arteta does, so obviously he knows a lot more than I do. Actually, before I get into it, the regular disclaimer. I could say there may be swearing. There will be swearing. You know, this is mostly Arsenal. There's always swearing on it, and it's just my natural way of talking. So yeah, if you don't like that, switch off now. If you do, carry on listening and watching, and enjoy the ride. Right, so individual performances. I'm not going to go into all of them because, to be honest, I'm not prepared for this show at all. I said in the last video that I'm going to be away at the weekend. I'm taking my daughter down to Falmouth University in Cornwall because it's that time of year when you start touring universities, when you've got a kid of that age and she wants to study architecture. So driving down in the morning and driving back in the evening, so that's going to be super awesome. But yeah, the individual performances. Bernd Leno, first off. The first 5-10 minutes, I had the same feelings of trepidation whenever he had the ball at his feet. And there's a couple of times he was a little bit sketchy, had a few kicks went out. But he kind of grew into the game. And, you know, you don't become a bad player overnight, but he was obviously ring rusty, and the same issues that I had with him last season were still prevalent. But then he made an absolutely blinding save. I can't even remember who it's from now. But it was an absolute perler. And for the rest of the game, he played really well, and he seemed quite assured. And I've been thinking for a while, the talk of the January transfer window will start coming up soon. And it's great that we've got two goalkeepers of such high level, but I don't see that he's going to be happy sitting there being a number two for too long. So I think probably something that Mikel Arteta and Edu are going to have to look at fairly soon is going to be another number two, because I'm fairly certain Leno will be on his way. And, you know, like I say, he wants to be an international keeper. He wants to be pushing for the German number one spot when tournaments come around. We're not that far away from Qatar, so you know he'll probably go. Benjamin White. Now, anyone that's listened to me rambling on for the last few months, when I first found out that we were in for him, I was hugely into it, and lots of people weren't. I was, and I've been a big fan of him for quite a while, as I've said before. I think what we're starting to see now, especially the last two games, he's been carrying the ball out of defence a lot more. He looks a lot more confident, a lot more assured. And again, in the Leeds game, same as the game Friday night against Aston Villa, he's rapid when he comes out with that ball. And he can turn defence into attack really, really quickly, even if necessary by bypassing the two holding midfielders. he looks really, really good. And I think we're now starting to see what we paid 50 million for. He's looking more assured in the air. Tackling still good. His reading of the game is improving with every game. And like I said, the confidence carrying the ball out, that's improving as well. So I was very, very concerned when he went down injured. And I was like, oh shit, man, we just got our team settled, like, an actual settled starting 11 or squad of 15, 16 players. And he's gone down injured. But thankfully, it turns out he had a bit of a bug and probably just needed to go for a shit, to be honest. And luckily, he got out of there before any catastrophes happened. So hopefully, he'll be fit for the weekend. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, a little while ago, I was thinking, why didn't we take that 20 million off Wolves a couple of summers ago? And there was all this talk about, I want to be a central midfielder, and I'm not the only person that thought it. It was he's not good enough to be a central midfielder. He changed my mind a little bit the other night. I know it was Carabao Cup against understrength Leeds, but they still had Calvin Phillips in there and other players. And I thought Ainsley Maitland-Niles did really well. And one of the things that I didn't notice before was actually how quick he is. Now, I know playing as a fullback or a wing back, pace is kind of a given. It's kind of a prerequisite, and you don't see it so much from a central midfielder. But some of the runs he made, he was unlucky not to get a penalty, to be honest. I thought initially it was, but I thought he had a really solid game. So fair game to him for that. Eddie Nketiah, again, had a good game, but the talking point is that goal. And when I see it spoon off his shin, initially I'm thinking that's going wide. And I think the thing that did him a favour was the connection with the shin was so slight. The ball was rolling so slowly, it allowed the spin to take effect and take it into the net. And I don't know what he'd have done if he'd have missed that. But I think he deserves an awful lot of credit for the work he did before he shinned it, because his first touch to leap over the keeper was absolutely exquisite. And the second touch to get him into a position where he could, try to slot one, again, that was a brilliant touch as well. I think all of the emphasis has been on his shinner, but maybe we should look a little bit at what he did before that. And I think with what he did before that, he kind of earned that goal. So fair game to Eddie. Next up, Gabriel Martinelli. Excuse me. I really feel for him at the moment. When he burst onto the scene with that, he couldn't stop scoring, could he? And then he got that one against Chelsea, when they literally all fell over and then they couldn't catch him. And I'm not saying he's stagnated as such, but he's not at that level yet where he's ready for this stage. He really needs a loan. I know Arteta's come out and said that, he's not really entertaining that at the moment. But the kid just needs games because he's got so much enthusiasm, so much pace. And you can see it's almost like he's trying too hard. And he's almost trying to go too fast. And he's pushing the ball too far ahead. And people are shutting him down. And I just think, let this kid have half a season in the Championship. Or, another side in the Premier League. But he needs games. And personally, I'd like to see him get out on loan somewhere. I think that'd be good for him. It's not really doing him a lot of good at the moment, just getting the odd game in the Carabao Cup or the odd 5-10 minutes as a sub. So yeah, Mikel, I know you're a fan of the show. Have a look and see if you can send him off somewhere. Next up, Callum Chambers, 23 seconds. Callum Chambers seems like he's that sort of player. No one really dislikes Callum Chambers. He always does a job for you. He's solid, but he's never quite at that level where you think, yeah, one of the first names on the team sheet. And you can tell what a nice bloke he is, because when he got that goal, and we've all seen the pictures, the reactions of Alex Lacazette, Mikel Arteta, Aaron Ramsdale, you could see how happy they were for him that he got that goal, and like everyone that was running after him. It was beautiful to see, and it gave an insight into the spirit that we got at the club at the moment. And I'll go into that a little bit more a bit later on. But those are my takeaways from the Leeds game. Moving on to the games we've got coming up. I'm not going to do like a Leicester preview or anything, because again, lots of other people will do that way better than I can. But I want to have a quick look at the next 4 games, because I find it quite interesting. Now, I've got Leicester away Saturday. They're a little bit resurgent at the moment since they beat Man United, and they're on a bit of a roll. There is a chance that Jamie Vardy might not be fit, which is awesome for us because he's like Drogba, he just always scores against us. So that's going to be a really, really tough game. I never want to sit here and say we'll be happy with the draw. Against them, I wouldn't. I do think at the moment we should beat them, but it's away, and we need to try to transfer what we're doing at home to when we're on the road. So that's going to be a tough game. Then after that, we've got Watford at home. Now, don't be fooled. This ain't going to be an easy game. I know it's Watford, and we should turn them over, but they at the moment have new manager bounce. I know they got stuffed 5-0 by Liverpool in Ranieri's first game, but to be honest, Watford ain't the only team to get done 5-0 by Liverpool, are they now? And Ranieri is no stranger to going to what might be perceived as a smaller club and working miracles. He may not have it in him anymore, and he is at like the world's biggest revolving door manager club. But it's going to be a tough game. Like I say, they've still got the bounce. Then we've got the game after that is away to Liverpool. Now, I said just now that I never want to say I'll take a draw. In that game, I'll take a draw, especially with how that attack is firing, and they're so solid at the back as well. It's a tea time game. I don't know how I feel about that. As long as I'm pleased it's not a Saturday lunchtime game, that's for sure. But we'll see how we go with that. And then after that, we've got Newcastle at home. Now, you can be fairly certain the world's richest club at that point will have a manager in place, so they'll have their new manager bounce as well. Obviously, they're not going to get the opportunity to bring new players in, but whoever it is they get in, I'll say obviously they might not have a manager in by then, but I'm fairly certain they will do, and they will be right in the middle of that bounce. So those are 4 games. I mean, on paper, 2 of them look easily winnable, but they're all tough. They're all tough, and we're at the moment 8 games unbeaten. I think we've won 6 of them, and we've kept 10 clean sheets out of the last 20 games. So the improvement that I was saying that I was wanting to see from the team and from Mikel Arteta by Christmas is, it looks like it's there on the surface, but there's danger around the corner, shall we say. So I'm not getting too carried away right now. That's about all I want to say on the games coming up. What I want to do now, I put a tweet out earlier and asked if anyone had any questions they wanted to ask me. Just do something a little bit different. And because this is completely, well, it's normally unscripted, to be honest, not exactly the most professional production you've ever likely to see. But asked some people to put some questions into me if there was anything they wanted to ask. And I didn't get loads, obviously. I'm not like a huge account. I've got like 400 followers on Twitter and 65 subscribers, so it's never going to be massive. But I had a few questions come in, and I'm more impressed with the quality of the questions as opposed to the quantity. So they always say quality over quantity. I'll always say that, and it's very true. So what we're going to do, like I say, it's not the most professional production, so I'm not going to pop the questions up on the screen. I'm just going to have a look at my phone. Now, who are we going to go to first? We are going to go to my good friend Joe, who's had a really, really tough time just lately, by the way, and he's a top lad. And he put actually a really, really good question in. His question was, who would you say is a better manager, Unai Emery or Mikel Arteta? Now, that's something I've thought about quite a lot, to be honest, because personally, I was quite happy when Emery went. I was perhaps a little bit harsh in my judgments of him, but the final nail in the coffin for me was against Watford again. There's that name, and I think it was like 35 shots on goal they had against us, and that for me, it's like this bloke ain't got a clue. You know, attacking wise, we'd be good, and we had this reputation of pulling games back in the second half. But how come Watford have 35 shots on Arsenal in one game? It's ridiculous. But then he went, Mikel Arteta came in, and there are two things that really stick out to me. Now, when we played Villarreal in the semis of the Europa League last season, defensively they were brilliant, and in the final against Man United, they were brilliant. Now, when you look at the starting 11s of us against Villarreal and Man United against Villarreal, there is no way that the starting 11 that Unai Emery has got there is better than ours or Man United's. And when the defenders that they've got there, one of them couldn't even buy a game for Spurs, for crying out loud. But they were brilliant defensively. They all bought into what he was doing. They were working so hard for this manager. And I'm sat there thinking, how come when Watford have had 35 shots against Arsenal in one game, can this manager make these players defend so well? And then my next question is, you come to Mikel Arteta. He's been given more time than Emery was, and he's now at a point where he is either sold or loaned out. A lot of those players that Unai Emery had, and we all know the ones I'm talking about, we all know about the way that we've got this amazing team spirit, almost like a family spirit at the club now, with all the players working for each other. Whereas before, these players, there were rumours of rifts in the dressing room, there were fights at training, which fights at training is not the worst thing in the world, don't get me wrong, but there was this toxicity in the dressing room, and that seems to have gone away now. So it's really difficult for me to say whether Arteta or Emery is the better manager. Emery's obviously got the more experience, but I don't know why. It's not because he's an ex-player. I want Arteta to succeed more than I did Emery. And I can't honestly tell you why that is. Like I say, both very different managers. Arteta's much more pragmatic in his approach, and he's turned us into a really good defensive unit, as well as when the mood takes us, we are a very good counter-attacking side as well, with, it would appear, a very, very decent goal-scoring threat at the moment. So I'm in the Arteta camp, but I do think that Unai Emery was quite harshly treated, really. There was another thing Joe came up with earlier as well. He mentioned about Pepe, how neither of them's managed to get the best out of Pepe. Now, Pepe to me is almost like Mesut Ozil in that he's not a divisive person himself, but his presence is very divisive to the fan base. Now, it's not his fault that we paid 72 million for him, but the parallels that I see between him and Ozil are, they've got such unbelievable skill levels within them, and literally, they're, especially a left foot, it's almost like it's been touched by an angel or something. It's ridiculous how much skill they've got and what they're capable of. But the problem is neither of them look arsed enough for my liking. They're a bit languid. It look like it doesn't really matter enough to them, and that's the problem I've got. I'd rather have 11 Emil Smith-Rowe or even like an Alexis Sanchez. Obviously, we wouldn't want him back, but when he was with us, like even when he was having a bad game, he would just run himself into the ground. I'd rather 11 of those than having a couple of these players who, like I say, I feel they could apply themselves better to the task at hand. So there's the answers to your questions there, Joe. Now next we're going to go on to a very, very wonderful guy by the name of Suarez So Hard. Now Suarez from India, and I first got chatting to him in the chat box on Canon Chatter. He's literally one of the nicest people on this planet. So if anyone wants to have a look at him on Twitter, Suarez So Hard is his name, and only if you're nice, though. If you're not going to be nice, don't do it. But yeah, look him up. He's a really, really thoroughly decent bloke. Now his question is, now he hasn't said whether it's related to Arsenal or just random life in general, but he's asked, if you were to travel back in time, which moment would you like to relive? Now, from an Arsenal point of view, for me, that's a no-brainer. 1989 Anfield. I was actually sat at home watching it with my dad, who, funnily enough, is a Liverpool fan. And I don't feel like I enjoyed it as much as I should, because out of respect for my dad, I was like, I didn't go too nuts. But to have actually been at Anfield, or even just outside Highbury, like listening on the old, on your radio or something, that bit when he's gone, it's up for grabs now, and then Mickey Thomas has done what he did, to actually have been around other Arsenal fans at that moment, when, I mean, I've said this before as well, when Man City won the league, when they beat QPR, I think QPR were already relegated, it was 2-2, Man City were at home, and they were expected to drub them. Now, when we went to Anfield, Liverpool at the time were basically the best team on the planet, and we had to go there, we had to win by 2 goals to win the title by 1 goal on goal difference. And you look at the players that they had in that team, they were rightly classed as the best team in the world. And for us to go there and win 2-0, not only win 2-0, but get the second goal with literally the last kick of the game, I just cannot begin to understand what that must have felt like. I really can't. So there's the Arsenal one for you, Suarez. Now, normal standard life. There are 2 things I'd really love to have been around for. The end of the Second World War, either in the UK or in the States, like, the famous picture of Times Square. Just that whole feeling must have been pretty amazing. But the other one, I'd like to have been around when Nikola Tesla was doing his stuff, like to have actually been in a lab with that bloke and to have seen how he worked. And he invented Wi-Fi, for Christ's sake. There are, I don't know how true this is, and I'm not the best educated person to comment with real authority on it. But there are people that say he invented zero fuel, which is one of the reasons why his lab blew up. Not because he done anything wrong, but because somebody else made it blow up. That guy was an absolute genius. So that would be my my second random real life thing that I would like to travel back for. Right, now lastly, there's this guy who's messaged me tonight, and he's asked 3 questions. I'm not going to say who he is to start with. I'll see if you can guess it from the questions. Right, the first one. Why are you so handsome? I don't see myself as handsome. Far from it. But my dad's an handsome bloke, and my mum's very beautiful. So if I am, then that will be why. And thank you for the amazing compliment. Right, this next one. Do you smell like apples? As in my head, you smell like apples. Now this bloke, right, I've become really good friends with him, and he's genuinely one of my best mates now. Even though we've never met, we've done this on screen loads of times. I don't smell like apples. I probably smell more like sort of sprouted cabbage farts, I would imagine. I don't really smell myself, to be honest. No, I don't smell like apples. But you, my friend, I'm interested to know, and I know you'll watch the video, you better watch the video anyway. I want to know what you smell like, because I think you probably smell like Maybe strawberries. Let me know. Right, this third question is quite long, and because I'm really blind and I can't read text messages very well without my glasses, and I have to pop them on. Have you remembered to tell your viewers how excited you are to be making another guest appearance on the Cannon Chat Halloween Spooktacular tomorrow night at 9 PM UK time? I'm assuming you're reading these out. So obviously that's Stephen from Cannon Chatter. Probably most of you will watch this video. Watch Cannon Chatter as well. Yes, I am very, very excited to be on the Halloween Spooktacular tonight, along with the usual suspects, G and Lottie, and there's also the other G, Lil Trigger, and Martin from Gunforce Edits is going to be on there as well, and it's going to be brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this isn't I'm not doing this as a plug. That's a genuine question that he's sent over. Look, I'll show you. It's in his text message. Look. There. So, like I said, it wasn't loads of questions, but quality is more important than quantity. And that's what I've told people my entire life for various different reasons. So I won't go into details. That's it. We're kind of done now. Like I said, it was the usual unscripted shambles of a show that I tend to produce. But I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will be back. Probably be next weekend, I suppose. We'll have some more stuff to talk about, and I've got an epic road trip coming up, so I'm sure there'll be some tales to tell from that. But until then, like I said, if you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel would be wonderful. You can always follow me on Twitter. I'm on there as the Mad Rambling one. So yeah, look me up on that. And until next time, be good and enjoy yourselves, whatever you're up to. See you later.